With broadband networks, we can change the way we approach job creation, education, healthcare, entertainment, and other things. We can change the way we connect with our communities around the world. That's why I fought last year to make sure that the Recovery Act included programs designed to bring broadband to everybody in this country, no matter who they are and no matter where they live. It's an operating principle. The Recovery Act included two major initiatives. One, a grant program to spur the adoption and deployment of broadband. And secondly, a broadband plan for the nation developed by the FCC. It's the broadband plan that we are here to discuss today. That's why we are here. Who gets what, when, how long, all of that. The FCC released the National Broadband Plan last month, and like many of my colleagues, I joined the chorus singing praises for this effort. I think the document is a great start, but I have concerns, real concerns. Back in October, when we held a hearing to discuss the broadband grant programs, I spoke about the prospects for the broadband plan. I said I wanted to see concrete action on the day that the plan is delivered, because I believe we need real broadband solutions for real people. And we need them now. A mere menu of options for the FCC and the Congress with far-off timeframes is, to this senator, not good enough. I believed that in October, and I believe it now. The report has over 200 recommendations, but it takes no action and suggests no action. It is long on vision, but it is short on tactics. So I'm going to challenge the FCC. I'm going to challenge the FCC to make the hard choices, for them as a commission to make the hard choices within, regardless of anything else going on, that will help bring broadband to every corner of our country. I mentioned to the chairman outside that I spent much of the last week at a mine disaster in a rural part of West Virginia. Amongst all of the horrible things that come out of an experience like that, one of the most disturbing was the fact that not one person there, the rescue people trying to get inside, mine officials, miners' families, most importantly, trying to call people in Detroit or Akron or wherever they might be, couldn't do that. There is no cell phone service in that part of the state, and it's not the most rural part of the state. That made me angry. Putting ideas on paper is just not enough. Just seeking comment on a slew of issues is not enough. To me, 10 years after 9/11, it's action that counts. Let me tell you why. In West Virginia, 1 in 5 households lack access to broadband service. As this plan notes, only 71% of the state's population has access to 3G wireless service. Every day that goes by, communities without broadband in West Virginia and every other state in the country, because there's no state that doesn't have remote and rural parts to it, risks falling farther behind. In this new century, universal broadband service is the promise of a fair shot at economic opportunity. It really is just exactly that. It's the promise of educational equality and affordable health care, and it opens the door to participate in our democratic dialogue, where people, helpfully or unhelpfully, can talk with each other, and hopefully do so with dignity, no matter who you are or where you live. Income, geography, nothing has anything to do with this. Before I conclude my remarks, let me take a minute to mention last week's disheartening decision by the Circuit Court of Appeals of the District of Columbia. No doubt the messy situation that Comcast has so generously put us in adds to the complexity of your task, Mr. Chairman. No question about it. But for me, two things are clear. First, in the near term, I want the agency to use all of its existing authority. I don't care how many lawyers you have or don't have. I want you to exercise the authority that you do have. Comcast and others want to take that away. They love deregulation so much they just can't even express it. And there are a lot of other folks sitting out there who represent companies that have the same way, but at least they didn't take it to court. Now that it's been taken to court and now that it's been shot down, it puts a whole national broadband plan at risk. And the chairman of the FCC ought to be pretty upset about that. I know I am. And secondly, in the long term, if there is a need to rewrite the law to provide consumers and the FCC and industry with a new framework, I, as chairman, will take that task on. That's the option where I think we're probably going to end. A lot of people sitting in this room who represent companies who love deregulation, will do anything to get out of anything to do with government. We have had a history in the recent FCC of a lot of non-action on issues where action was needed. And I just want to say, Mr. Chairman, to you that this is a committee, at least so long as I'm chairman, that is here to protect people, to protect consumers. Most of the rest of the world can take care of itself. Consumers can't. People without cell phone service can't make that phone call to the mother of a deceased minor. They can't do it. So that's the way I look at my responsibilities here, and I think a lot of us feel that way. So in closing, I appreciate the challenges before the FCC. I understand they're much more complicated now. Don't let that discourage you at all. Bend the curve if you have to. I look forward to the chairman's testimony about how he's going to move ahead and how we're all going to do it, in fact, together, and bring the wonders of broadband to every community in this country. That has to be the end result.